Hello, Facebook friends. Dan Davis, editor-in-chief of the Fabricator magazine, with my special friend here, Kate Bachman, editor of Stamping Journal. How are you, Kate?
I'm great, Dan. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. Funny you should ask, though. I was at home with a severe cold last week. So please take care of yourselves and think of others as you go about walking around the office with no mask. Not that I wear a mask, but I should wear a mask. Sorry, you're going to get a cold after this. Anyway, so we're here to talk about the November-December 2021 issue of the Stamping Journal, which likely will hit inboxes and mailboxes shortly, a couple weeks. Kate, before we jump into that, I thought we'd take time to talk about Fabtech. We've been back at the office several weeks since then, but we really haven't had a chance to look back. And from a stamping point of view, what are some of the things that you saw that you think will kind of carry over theme-wise for your readership in 2022?
Well, thank you for your question, Dan.
I'm glad I could offer one.
I appreciate that because Fabtech is one of my very favorite events. So my takeaway from the show, which was wonderful and robust and so forth, was obviously COVID had an impact on the show in terms of slightly lighter attendance, and maybe a few exhibitors weren't there this year. People were wearing masks, they were vaccinated and so forth. We were all aware of the pandemic, but I think the pandemic's long-lasting effects on manufacturing really showed in some of the exhibits, in that many of the exhibitors were showing tools and products that allow stampers to operate remotely. Now that stampers and manufacturers have figured out ways to operate remotely and communicate remotely, they want to continue to do that. So the several press companies had virtual, extended, or augmented reality systems in place, and that was probably one of the really byproducts of this period that we just went through. And one of them was Simpac America. They teamed up with Elm Park Labs, to offer an extended reality tool that allows stampers to see really the inner workings of a press virtually through, and this was what I thought was really interesting, through a tablet or an iPad, a smartphone, rather than goggles or something like that. Something that I think most of us have learned to handle and be very familiar with. So I thought that was kind of a neat one. And then another interesting one was Amada Press Systems teamed up with a company called Mira Labs Reality, I think. And so they also had an augmented reality system. In this case, they did use a headset that was connected to an iPhone and then could be projected onto a laptop or desktop. And it enabled the user to be able to, again, provide diagnostics remotely. And also, they could even download some schematics and blueprints and things like that. So those were, I thought, two of the more remarkable ways that I think manufacturing has changed permanently as a result of what we have just gone through, and that was showcased at Fabtech.
Yeah, I think we saw that all over the Fabtech show floor. And you mentioned augmented reality. In December 2021 issue of the Fabricator, we'll have a story on another company adapting augmented reality to structural steel fabrication, and we'll have a supplemental structural steel fabrication for that issue. But just kind of pull it all together, you're seeing all these advanced technologies kind of steal the spotlight, and what better year for that to occur than the one we just came off of, given the pandemic. So enough about what we saw at Fabtech. I thought give it a chance to catch up. November, December, I know you got a lot going on, and I think what I find interesting is, well, I'll let you take it away. I don't want to steal your thunder.
Okay.
What do you think the audience wants to know about your issue coming up in November, December?
Right. Well, in this issue, rounding out the end of the year, in the November-December issue, we take a deep dive into die technology and the heart of the press, the beating heart of the press system, so to speak. We delve into sensoring the die vision systems to keep an eye on the die, so to speak, manage lubricating systems for the die, and even a die handling buyer's guide. So the die sensor article is just basically a primer. It's kind of a refresher and an overview for beginners or a refresher for veterans as to which types of sensors are best for which application. And then the vision systems article shows how the vision systems can be used to protect the die as well as to provide some insights into the entire operation, so stampers can understand the malfunctions and their causes. The lubrication application system is specifically on precision dosing and for a modern and efficient die lubrication system. Another article that kind of makes the case for incorporating new technologies into the press system is an article on integrating traceability into the stamping process using laser marking systems. Laser marking systems' advantage is that not only can they provide traceability into batches, as is often done with stamping systems, they can provide traceability per part, per individual part. And of course, traceability is really becoming a really serious issue in light of the automotive recall environment that we're in. So that's definitely an advancement.
Is that laser marking occurring in the press?
It doesn't occur in the press process directly before the stamping.
Okay.
On the material directly before it becomes a part.
Yeah.
And even immediately after, if depending on what the preference is.
Inkjet or
laser marking.
So it's like an etching almost. It's
yes,
in there.
it's a laser etching of
Okay.
kind of process.
Wow.
So that's kind of cool. And then we have a fifth article.
The fifth article is
and it also incorporates some of the more advanced technologies. It's an article on machine intelligence and ERP. So again, machines acting in an intelligent way, communicating with each other to facilitate productivity and efficiency.
Yeah. So in talking with a lot of the stamping companies out there, are they taking steps as you've kind of the topics you've covered? Are they getting more aggressive to try to be smarter manufacturers and get information fed back to them so they can make more intelligent production decisions?
I think absolutely. From what I'm hearing, what I've been witnessing, they are really looking for anything they can do to get an edge.
Yeah.
To alleviate some of the pressures they received from some of their customers for cost downs and things like that. So they really have to find those and fine tune those efficiencies. And yeah, they are looking at them. I think the ERP software has become more refined and more manufacturers and stampers are realizing they really need to incorporate a good, robust ERP system. They're really looking at how that can facilitate machine communications, and we're just really looking for censoring their dies, to the hilt, and using vision systems and whatever they can to, as you say, get that information so they can make better decisions about their processes.
Yeah. Garrett, do we have any questions or comments?
No song requests either.
No song requests for the panelists today. We were actually doing like Catholic chants. Is that really what we want? Chants can be offensive, right? Catholic responses. That's probably better.
Voice warm-ups.
Yeah, voice warm-ups.
Voice warm-ups.
Voice warm-ups, exactly. That's why you're on the technical side of things. It works like that. So outside the issue, talking about trends affecting the world of metal formers, one of the big ones has to be the whole state of the automotive industry. From what you gather, I don't read headlines about massive layoffs occurring. So are people keeping busy enough to kind of keep moving forward? Or is this are we expecting some type of fallout to occur in the coming months?
I think so far, the reverse has really been true in that almost everyone I talk to says that they cannot get enough skilled workers and workers, anybody, live bodies.
Right.
They are really struggling with being able to fill out their staffs, and that has impeded their progress, for sure. So they're all really kind of looking for ways to attract good workers, good staff members, and to incentivize them and to have good training opportunities, particularly in tool and die apprenticeships. Many of them are developing their own tool and die apprenticeships, sometimes in cooperation with local community colleges and things
Right.
like that. But layoffs don't seem to be what I'm hearing about. It's really more really struggling to find workers.
So it seems like it's a balance, whereas there's a slowdown in the market, it's not as impactful because they're keeping up with the workforce they have now.
Exactly.
So it
Right.
could really be pain if things were really to take off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I had taken a look at the most recent business conditions report from our fine friends. We love them very much. Precision Metal Forming Association. And gave indications that there's some hesitancy on the horizon, but by no means totally pessimistic. So I imagine business owners in the stamping community are keeping somewhat of a positive mindset heading into 2022. Do you see that? Did you kind of get that sense based on conversations you've had recently, maybe at Fabtech?
I think almost everyone, with maybe one or two exceptions, have said that they've been extremely busy.
Yeah.
They have not really seen a slowdown. They look to the future to continue to be successful. And, the one thing that is impacting the automotive industry pretty uniquely, and I suppose also telecommunications, is, just this very famous chip shortage.
Yeah.
And they see that as a temporary problem related to COVID and the layoffs and shortages and things like that, material shortages. But they are very much aware of that, and also in the automotive industry, it seems that all the automakers have come to terms with the realization that they have to take a different approach to achieving the EPA's restrictions. Mileage standards.
Yeah.
And that they're not going to do it with thinner. They're going to continue to work with thinner and stronger metals, but they're not going to achieve it wholly on the basis of the materials. They have to convert to a completely different propulsion system, and they are all doing it. I'd say all the major automakers, the minor automakers, the new automakers are all coming out with electric vehicles. And that creates some changes for stampers, and some things will really, really stay the same. But I think that is, really something in the industry that has evolved and is, really taking the automotive industry by storm.
Yeah. Gareth, do you have a comment?
Yeah, Alan Posey commented on the laser etching discussion, saying just that he's found it's been a great way to handle traceability, especially he's trying to modernize.
Oh yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, no, it's something that I think if you're not living on the shop floor, you kind of take for granted. But small things like that, we have an article coming up in the Fabricator in December, where automotive related, but more tube fabrications, exhaust fabrications, where their issue was just keeping track of parts, where the operator had to manually be involved in 4 processes while at the same time keeping a manual, and some of the jobs would extend over a shift. So it's and multiple shifts at that. So not having that backup to kind of keep track, whereas the individual not only was keeping count, but also had to go out and print out labels. It was like a whole ballet of responsibilities that just was not, just reading about it just kind of frustrated me. I can't imagine the people being involved in something like that and being responsible for, hey, have you seen this part? We need to track it down, without that type of support system to do that. That's just rattles my head. So.
Well, and I'm hearing, and I've written about how some good ERP systems really have allowed stampers to, tame that beast and keep track of their parts, keep track of their inventory. know where everything is in process, where the work in process is, and they say that it has been almost life changing for them when they get a good ERP system in place.
So, ironically enough, the remedy for the situation I was just describing came from a module of our ERP. So, in many instances, we hear horror stories related to ERP implementations, and in the back of my head, I can hear literally one fabricator, if you meet him every other year, he'll tell you about the issues he's having with his most recent ERP. He's upgraded like 3-4 times over the last 8 years, but it's not always the case. Sometimes it works for people, so that's always good news. I'd recommend any more comments, questions, let us know, but also feel free and reach out to us. We're always interested in hearing about success stories and non-success stories in the industry, and Kate can be reached at
Kate B, as in Bachman, at thefabricator.com.
Yep, and that's metal forming news, and she also helps us out on the Fabricator with different topics, and you can reach me at Dan D at thefabricator.com. Or is it thefabricator.com?
The sounds better.
Yeah, thank you. There's a rule though, right?
The,
unless it's a word that begins with a vowel. The.
I did not know that.
I don't know. I'm asking.
I think you're making it up.
No, I think there is a rule like that. All right. As you can see, we're paid to know this stuff, but we don't. So that reflects poorly on me, not my co-workers. So in the end, what did we learn today?
We learned
November,
that
December is going to be a great issue of Stamping
really
Journal.
great and full, comprehensive issue that will delight you.
Yeah, and we didn't read it Catholic response style. Do you want to try one? You do have a pleasant voice. You want to try one?
Hey, this is something I did want to bring up.
Okay, all right, one more. Do it,
right.
but sing it.
There has been a lot of anticipation around 3D printing of at least some die components. Our engineering angle column reveals some research on that topic. As you know, people view tool and die making as a bottleneck because the process can take weeks or months. So there's a lot of anticipation around the time savings that can occur with 3D printing of die components.
Also known as additive manufacturing. That's it. Additive manufacturing. All right, I think we've run our course. Thank you for joining me today. Please join us Thursday, noon Central Time. I'll be joined by Amanda Carlson, editor of the Welder magazine, and Eric Lundeen, editor of Tube and Pipe Journal, who I believe has never been pictured in public. Is that correct? So we look forward to that. So please get your ham sandwich and gather us for lunch, and we look forward to communicating with you over this fine social media channel. Thank you and good day.
We're out.